Before we begin Lesson 6.6, here's the vocabulary. We have interest, and this is the amount of money paid or earned for the use of money by a bank or other financial institution. And examples would be a savings account. That's money that you've earned if you keep your money in a savings account at a bank. And a credit card, there's interest on it, and that's money you have to pay because you're borrowing the money from the credit card company. Simple interest is paid only on the initial principal of a savings account or a loan. So my example is the formula for finding interest. Your interest is equal to your principal times your rate times your time in years. Note 6.6 on simple interest. We're going to solve simple interest problems and apply the simple interest equation to real-world problems. The Common Core state standards are listed in the mathematical practices. So we have our formulas in the box. And to find the interest in years, I have the variables that represent. So I is your interest, P is your principal, R is your rate, and T is your time. So the interest is equal to your principal times the rate times your time. Remember, your rate is always written as a decimal. If it is in months, its interest is equal to your principal times your rate times the time, but you'd have to divide it by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. So I have the variables written and also what they represent. So after finding the interest, you can find the total amount. That would be your principal plus your interest gives you your total amount. So our first example says find the interest and total amount, round to the nearest cent if necessary. Number 1, $3,500 at 9% for 36 months. So say you're buying a new car and you don't have the money. You can take out a loan, but you're going to get charged interest. That's extra money. So our principal is your $3,500. Your rate is your 9% as a decimal. And your time is in years. But our example here says 36 months. So we're going to multiply it by 36 and divide by 12. You could also convert your 36 months to years and substitute that in. But we're going to use the formula here. So we multiply 3,500 times 0.09 times 36 and divide it by 12, we end up getting $945. That's how much extra you'd have to pay for this car. So how much are you paying for the car in the end? It's your principal, $3,500, plus your interest, $945. So your total amount for the car that you'd pay after 3 years would be $4,445. The Smith family buys a house that costs $225,000. They take out a mortgage for 30 years, and the interest rate is 6%. Find the interest in the total amount of the house after 30 years. So your principal is how much you're paying for your house, $225,000. The rate is your 6% as a decimal, 0.06, times your time in years, and that's 30. So using your calculator, multiply 225,000 times 0.06 times 30, and you end up with $405,000. So that's how much extra you're paying in interest. So if you don't have the $225,000, when you're buying a house, you take out a loan and you're paying it back each month over the next 30 years. The interest is $405,000. How much did you really pay for this house? So if we take our principal plus your interest, we actually paid after 30 years $630,000. All right, so your $225,000 house, you really ended up paying $630,000 with the interest included. The Jones family buys a house that costs $750,000. They take out a mortgage for 30 years, and the interest rate is 6%. Find the interest in the total amount for the house after 30 years. So our principal is $750,000 times your rate as a decimal, 0.06, times your time in years, and when we multiply, we end up getting $1,350,000. That's how much interest, extra money you're paying for your house. So how much did your house cost after 30 years? So we do our principal plus your interest equals $2,100,000. That's how much your house cost after your 30 years, including your interest.